Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's a great day today, friends. Why? Because we're watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 6, The Doomsday Machine. Now, friends, full disclosure, being around what I call the Star Trek osmosis, being around the original series and doing the Q&As, you start to pick up a name, maybe a title of an episode you haven't seen before. The Doomsday Machine is one of those for me because I keep hearing it kind of included in top 3 and 5 and 10 lists. Now, again, I always formulate my own opinion, but I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't feel good if other people have liked the episode before watching it. It just makes me all the more excited to experience it. Friends, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. You'll be alerted next time we go live with the original series of Star Trek or any of our sci-fi offerings. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to the Patreon is in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? That's fine. Join us here on YouTube memberships. You get all of our episodes about a day early, plus any bonus episodes we come up with. But friends, all that is then, and this is now. And now it's time for us to watch Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 6, The Doomsday Machine. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction, and away we go. Where's my beauty? Where is she? Coming out of the mists. Oh, there she is. Love that ship. Oh my God, I thought that was Marlena Moreau.
The stress call definitely came from one of the solar systems in this sector, Captain.
Can you pinpoint it any closer, Lieutenant?
Weird shot.
It was so badly garbled, all we got was the name Constellation. Then we lost it.
Constellation.
Sensors show this entire solar system has been destroyed. Nothing left but rubble and asteroids.
That's incredible.
An entire solar system, like planets and everything?
Sensors show nothing but debris where we charted 7 planets last year.
Continue your search pattern.
Wow. No Chekhov on bridge as of yet, and no Uhura.
Still no signs of the Constellation. Matt Decker's in command. What could have happened to him?
Matt Decker.
By configuration, a starship. Stopped in space. She appears to be drifting.
Oh, she's on the drift.
No answer, Captain. All I get is the automatic beacon.
That's not a good sign. They don't have any systems on. Oh my God.
Look at that.
She may have been wrecked by whatever destroyed these solar systems.
Yeah. Any survivors? No power. I don't see any lights on. The cells are dead.
She was attacked.
That was a kind of a cool pull into his torso. All right, Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier. Woo, that's a hell of a way to start, friends. We have a sundered craft. We're not sure if we have any survivors. We're in a solar system that's been destroyed. I don't think we've had populations be killed. We've 50 billion or whatever it was, planets and everything. I mean, the episode title is The Doomsday Machine. It's living up to it so far. Okay, I'll ask this question because my son asked me this question. If you could be in Starfleet, what track would you go into? Engineering, security, command, medical, science. I'll let you know mine in a couple episodes so y'all can answer. Mark Daniels can somebody get Mark Daniels a Gatorade and a pillow so he can take a nap? Jesus.
I can't raise the Constellation,
Lieutenant
sir.
Palmer.
I'm still getting the distress beacon, but there's heavy subspace interference. It's almost blocking the signal.
Keep trying.
Like asteroids and shit?
Life support systems.
Also operative at a low power level. The entire bridge is damaged and uninhabitable.
Oh my God.
Seems able to sustain life.
Radiation levels.
Normal.
Beam over. That is scary. I know that sounds stupid, but to me, like shipwrecks and things like that have always been off-putting, like super off-putting. And that gives me that same like kind of naval type of, finding a shipwreck at sea or
We're going to board her. Mr. Spock, you're in command.
Acknowledged.
Oh my God. Who do we got here? Bones, Scotty,
Connie, check the phaser banks. See if they've been fired. Bones, you come with me.
Come along, lad.
Come on, guys. He's got a team with him. I love it. All using the ladder at once. It was one of those tri-side ladders.
What a mess.
Okay, so you all told me that Scotty served in the military because he just went down that ladder like he was in the military. Everybody else went down back or front first. He walked down it.
No survivors. No bodies either. Is it possible they were beamed down to one of the two planets?
Improbable, Captain. The surface temperature of the inner planet is that of molten lead.
Dear God.
We'll continue our search. Kirk out.
The flipping is the coolest part. I miss flipping open my phone because I'm old.
The wood drive, that's a hopeless pile of junk.
Jeez.
Impulse engines are not too badly off. We ought to be able to do something with them.
Phaser banks?
Exhausted. They didn't give up without a battle.
Good for them.
You can't imagine a man like Matt Decker abandoning ship while his life support systems are still operative.
Computer system is still intact.
Ask it. Well, there we got somebody.
Matt.
It's the captain.
Matt. It's Jim Kirk.
What's wrong with him?
Commodore. Commodore Decker?
Commodore? Oh, shit. What's he suffering from? Just shock or dehydration or starvation? How long's it been?
Attack, that thing.
What thing? What was it? Answer me. What was it?
Jim, give him a second, bud.
State of shock. Ready with a duplicate log, sir.
Play it. Where's his crew?
Scotty, pull the microtapes from the sensor memory banks and beam them aboard to Spock. I want a full analysis, a complete report of what happened when they went in on that planet.
I see.
We couldn't run.
What happened to your crew?
Yeah.
Oh, I had to beam them down.
Down to where?
Oh, we were dead. No power, phasers, useless. I stayed behind. Last man, captain, last man aboard the ship.
Where did you beam them to?
They say there's no devil, Jim. But there is a...
Matt, where's your crew?
Please don't say on the fourth planet.
On the third planet.
There is no third planet.
Oh my God.
Don't you think I know that? There was, but not anymore.
Oh God, dude.
Begged me for help. 400 of them. I couldn't.
Oh my God.
Captain, Washburn has a report.
Oh my God, this poor man. Doing a hell of a job acting too. Oh my God.
Somehow, the antimatter in the warp drive pods has been deactivated.
Deactivated.
Like drained?
Well, it's miles long with a maw that could swallow a dozen starships.
What? It's a creature?
Well, what is it? An alien ship, or is it alive, or is it...
Both or neither. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Kirk here.
Spock here, Captain. Unable to raise Starfleet Command due...
It's time to get out of here.
She was attacked by what appears to be essentially a robot. An automated weapon of immense size and power.
It's robotic.
Its function is to smash planets to rubble and then digest the debris for fuel.
It's like Galactus or Unicron.
Projecting back on our star charts, we find that it came from outside, from another galaxy.
It always does.
If it follows its present path, it will go through the most densely populated section of our galaxy.
Okay. Well, there's no running.
This whole thing's incredible. A robot. A machine like that. Who would build it? We don't know.
You heard everything I did, Plum.
But why? Bones?
Stop asking questions.
Doomsday machine that somebody used in a war uncounted years ago.
And now it's just fulfilling its aimless function.
Oh, forget about your theories. That thing is on the way to the heart of our galaxy.
Matt, pump the brakes, bud.
We'll take her in tow.
It's gone, Matt.
You go back to the Enterprise with the doctor and let him help you.
It's just that I never lost a command before.
We should probably watch him, too.
Beam Dr. McCoy and Commodore Decker on board immediately.
Look at that light square. That's cool. That, like, drill spot. Man, Transporter Chief Kyle gets a lot of play. I'm going to have to start putting Kyle into the core cast.
Looks very much like Commodore Decker's planet killer. It is pursuing us.
Time to skedaddle. That almost looks like a sun inside it, like a star. Oh, the constellation is beat to shit, but still cool. So cool seeing another one.
We are more maneuverable, but it is gaining on us.
It almost looks like a geode in a way, like the inside.
We can't let it go beyond us to the next solar system. We have to stop it. If it's a robot, what are the chances of deactivating?
Slim to effing none.
I also believe the nature of this machine precludes the possibility of easy access to its control mechanisms.
If it's a weapon of war, yeah, they're not going to leave a turn-off switch outside.
Transporter room. Stand by to beam landing party aboard.
Ready to beam, sir.
If you mess this up, put on your agonizer. Oh, cool shot. Sulu's like, I'm going to take a seat here in the captain's chair for a second, if you don't mind.
Mr. Spock, communications damage. We're unable to override interference.
Damage in communications, Captain. Interference will...
Oh, boy. Oh, hey, Bad, this is worse. I'm here now.
Blind and deaf and paralyzed, no power.
Well, great, Scotty, thanks.
Aye. The impulse engines are still in fair shape. I might coax them.
Then get moving.
Come along, lad.
Washburn, you get in there. Let's see what we can do about this viewing screen.
Oh, okay, so Scotty, you're doing this by yourself. Do they have any shuttles?
No casualties, Mr. Spock.
A lot of people in the bridge, damn.
Status report.
Impulse and warp engines operative. Transporter and communications under repair.
I don't like Matt being in charge on the Enterprise.
It's veering off. Back on course for the next solar system. The Rigel colony, sir.
Rigel?
Evidently programmed to ignore anything as small as a ship beyond a certain radius.
If it's got protocols in place, then still maybe...
Logically, our primary duty is to survive in order to warn Starfleet Command.
Our primary duty is to maintain life and the safety of Federation planets.
How'd that work out for you, Matt?
You will lay in an evasive course back to the constellation.
Aye, aye, sir.
Belay that last order, helmsman.
I knew this was coming.
You will carry out my last order, Mr. Sulu.
Oh.
But I would advise against it.
That thing must be destroyed.
You tried to destroy it once before, Commodore. The result was a wrecked ship and a dead crew.
Don't go all Ahab here, Matt.
I made a mistake then. We were too far away. This time I'm going to hit it with full phasers at point-blank range.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Spock, that will be all. You have been relieved of command. Don't force me to relieve you of duty as well.
It sounded a little Western there. Like you need a tumbleweed to blow through.
You can't let him do this. Doctor, you are out of line. So are you.
Declare medical emergency.
If you can certify Commodore Decker medically or psychologically unfit for command, I can relieve him under Section C.
I'll certify that right now.
You'll also be asked to produce your medical records to prove it.
Well, psychological, it can go by impressions.
Doctor.
What about the captain? We can't leave.
Doctor.
You saw him experiencing shock. That would lead you to probable conclusion that he has psychological damage.
Mr. Spock knows his duty under regulations, Doctor. Do you?
Listen up, dickhead. Man, oh man. The balls of somebody to lose their entire crew, their ship, and be like, I'm going to try it again with yours, because I know best. No one likes you in here, Matt.
Deflectors at full power. Ready on main phaser banks.
I'm going to sit here and act even crazier and chew on this memory card. The Doomsday Machine has a very tapered turd effect, or aesthetic, I should say, just to be as gross as possible. It's off-putting, but it's so cool to see that like, drifting ship. Jim getting his hands dirty. Jim always gets his hands dirty. I'm just saying, doing repairs.
Aye, we can cross-connect the controls, but it'd make the ship almost impossible for one man to handle.
Worry about your miracles, Scotty. I'll worry about mine. Get to work.
I've got my own miracles I'm working on, Scott. The hell is that? I swear it looks like there's a star inside that damn thing.
Helmsman, hold your course. Stand by all phaser banks.
Aye, aye, sir.
Everybody knows I'm a terrible tactician and an awful judge of character.
We must retreat, Commodore. The energy drain.
I'm in command here, Mr. Spock.
Yeah, no shit, dude. I'm going to ignore my science officer and everyone else and rely on my experience that got 400 people killed and my ship destroyed. What could go wrong? So frustrating. So frustrating.
Controls are all hooked up, sir. We should have some power for you soon.
Try it now, Captain.
Washburn doing God's work in there. What do we got? It was looking good. We're inside the Mutara Nebula now.
Fire!
Was it neutronium?
Commodore, I urgently recommend immediate withdrawal.
Recommendation noted. Maintain course.
Cool shot.
First Enterprise, come in.
What the fuck are you doing?
If I push these impulse engines too hard in the condition they're in, they'll blow apart.
Washburn, get down to engineering. Assist Mr. Scott.
Aye, sir.
Washburn was just trying to get a drink of water. Go! Oh shit.
Scotty. Push it right to the edge. This ship has got to maneuver.
Aye, sir.
Yeah, don't worry about saving the Constellation.
Deflector shields are gone.
Severe casualties reported on decks 3 and 4.
Oh, God. Hear the engineering reports coming in?
It has ceased fire. We're being held in a tractor beam. We're being pulled inside, Commodore.
I'd really like to actually hear all the crosstalk. I'd love to hear that stuff coming in.
It is suicide. Attempted suicide would be proof that you are psychologically unfit for command. If you don't veer off, I shall relieve you on that basis.
Hey, Matt, thanks for all your help. We've got several dead people down on deck 6 and 7.
We're being pulled inside.
Oh, shit. This thing eats planets, so... Unicron. Oh, my God. And then Jim gets to watch it.
Give me that power. You've got it, Captain. Just enough to move us. I can't do better.
That'll do.
Get in between. He's going to save his ship.
Pull ahead, Mr. Scott.
Lord. Oh, this ship is so screwed up. I can't believe Scotty got it moving. Unreal. Plus, you're trying to fly this thing from an auxiliary command post. That's like, well, I got to get this car across country. I'll be driving from the trunk.
That's it, Mr. Scott. Keep that power coming.
Good episode. It's a good episode. They're all good.
Still can't move.
Well, I wonder why. This thing kills solar systems.
We're moving. The Enterprise isn't. Maybe that thing will see us. Let the Enterprise go.
Jim's flying this thing by himself at a desk.
I only had some phasers.
Phasers. You've got them. I have one bank recharged.
Scott. Just earned your pay for the week.
They're really going heavy with the light bars. And Bill Shatner's handling it well, because that stuff is shitty to have to try to act through.
We can maintain this speed for only 7 hours before we exhaust our fuel. But it can refuel itself indefinitely.
Then we'll have to fight it now before it gets any stronger.
Jesus.
We must transport the captain and the others from the Constellation and escape this thing's subspace interference in order to warn Starfleet Command.
You've got to mobilize the fleet.
Can you raise Starfleet?
No, sir, but I've got ship-to-ship communications back. Picking up Captain Kirk.
Man, we need Uhura here.
Mr. Spock, I am still in command, and I will speak for this ship.
What the fuck?
Commodore Decker speaking.
Matt. What's going on? Give me Mr. Spock.
I'm not talking to you, Matt.
I assumed command according to regulations.
I mean, you're the lunatic who's responsible for almost destroying my ship?
You are speaking to a senior officer, Kirk.
Get fucked, man.
Warp drive out. Deflector shields down. Transporter under repair. We are on emergency impulse power.
I told you I am in command here, and I will give the order.
This guy's going to get the Enterprise destroyed. He's an idiot.
You can't relieve me, and you know it. According to regulations...
Blast regulations. Mr. Spock, I order you to...
Pull a phaser, put it to the side of his head. I'm back in the mirror universe.
I don't recognize your authority to relieve me.
Pinch him.
Commodore, I do not wish to place you under arrest.
You wouldn't dare.
Matt, I mean, how did you fucking think this is gonna go down? Okay, Matt, we're wasting time with this shit.
Very well, Mr. Spock. The bridge is yours.
Then get out of the fucking chair, dude.
I believe you are scheduled for medical examination. Mr. Montgomery.
Sir.
You will accompany the Commodore to sickbay.
Aye, sir.
This way, Commodore. I know the way.
Mr. Sulu, change course 70 Mark 21.
Mark 21, sir.
Matt Decker has a finny look about him, doesn't he? Like the rough beard. Come on, Montgomery. Kick this guy's ass. Oh, I'd love that. I'd like to tell everybody that old man strength does not exist. And Montgomery would be wiping the floor with this guy. Okay, so you've just beaten a Starfleet, not an officer probably, but I mean security officer. Are you out of your fucking mind? Out of your fucking mind. He runs into Finney. This is my hiding place. I'll get Jim yet. I want to get Jim too. Can we get Spock as well? Let's form a team.
Yes, Gunny. I've hooked in ship's communication. The best I can give you on impulse is 1/3 power. The shields are up, but they won't last long.
You got shields? Scotty's down there with miracles flying out of his fingers.
Mr. Spock, someone's opening the shuttlecraft bay doors.
I'll give you one guess.
It's too late, sir.
Yeah, fire on him. Why I am not a captain of a ship. Destroy them.
Shuttlecraft to Enterprise. Decker here.
Matt.
You said it yourself, Spock. There is no way to blast through the hull of that machine, so I'm gonna take this thing right down its throat.
Matt, how do you think a shuttlecraft is going to do something that a planet can't?
Commander is responsible for the lives of his crew and for their deaths.
We almost had 2 crews. Let him fly in.
Listen to me. You can't throw your life away like this.
He's gone. I mean, I understand it. It's a horrible, horrible situation.
Matt, you're a starship commander. That makes you a valuable commodity. We need you. Your experience, your judgment. Matt!
Well, it's too late. I mean, there's no way he's not in that tractor beam. Because it's got that, they said it has a defensive field around it that basically, hey, vaya con Dios. This guy's doing a good job, though. He's irritating me, too, which means he's doing a really good job. Okay. What did that prove, Matt? You've killed yourself now. After you beat the absolute piss out of Montgomery.
Mr. Spock, sensors indicate a minute drop in the machine's power emanations. Do you think the shuttlecraft explosion might have done some damage?
What about that, Spock? Is it possible?
Drop in power is definite, Captain, but negligible.
Nice.
There is little to be gained by staying aboard the Constellation.
Except possibly the destruction of that thing out there.
He's gonna take it inside. Jesus, Jim.
That a fusion explosion of 97 megatons will result if a Starship impulse engine is overloaded?
No, sir. 97.835 megatons.
You're off.
Will it be powerful enough to destroy that thing out there?
Negative, Captain. Its hull is pure neutronium. There is no known way of blasting through it.
Going inside.
Spock, from inside it. Will it be enough?
Insufficient data.
Yeah.
I shall try to take further sensor readings.
Send a probe in? I mean, I'm assuming it would be destroyed almost immediately, but...
Scotty, can you set the ship's impulse engines to overload?
Aye. The shape that thing's in, it's hard to keep it from blowing.
I was gonna say, they're probably already there.
You're getting dangerously close to the planet killer.
I intend to get a lot closer. I'm gonna ram her right down that thing's throat.
Jesus. We're gonna need another shuttlecraft for Jim's balls.
You'll have 30 seconds to beam me aboard the Enterprise before the Constellation's impulse engines blow.
Your chances of survival are not promising.
At least there's more information maybe to be gleaned.
30 seconds is very slim timing.
A chance I'll have to take. Kirk out.
All right, Kyle.
Press this one. 30 seconds later, poof. Once it's activated, there's no way to stop it.
Beam Scotty back.
Transporter, stand by.
Good luck, Captain.
Thank you.
Scotty's like, I'm not sticking around. So who do we want on the transporter here? Scotty or Kyle? No offense to Kyle. We've seen him get agonized before, though. So I think it may be Scotty.
It's a power drain somewhere, sir. I almost lost you. It'll never work like this. It's the main junction circuitry. I'll get it.
Transporter is out, Captain. You'll have to stand by.
I can't. Power level's dropping too fast. You'd better hurry.
Acknowledged. Scott, speed is of the essence.
I've got my magnets. I'm in the Jeffries tube. I do love that, though. I'm not trying to be flippant. I actually really think it's cool when he goes in there and starts bypassing shit.
Bridge, transporter operational.
Way to go, Scott.
Captain, transporter operational, but just barely.
Prepare to beam me aboard on my signal.
1,000 miles in closing.
Transporter, stand by.
Steady by, sir.
It's like the end of Flash Gordon. Man, the Constellation putting in work for a dead ship.
500 miles in closing.
Woo! Trigger it. Come on, come on, come on. We don't have to cut this close. It's going to eat you no matter what.
Beam me aboard.
Energize.
Energize.
Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. Jim's like, all right, awesome.
Gentlemen, beam me aboard.
We can't, Captain. Transporter is out again. Mr. Scott, 20 seconds to detonation.
No pressure.
Scott.
Oh my God, they're all going out.
Try invert phasing.
Holy shit. Damn it, Sulu, in your countdowns.
Gentlemen, I suggest you beam me aboard.
9.
Scott.
Go! Ooh, do you got anything? Got anything in the buffer? I mean, we know that, I know he makes it, but... I did it.
Bridge, we got him through.
Nice job, Kyle. Nice job, Scotty. Nice job, Spock.
G output 0. Radiation level normal.
Listing, it has to be dead if it was alive or whatever the hell the thing was. Is the subspace stuff gone?
Welcome aboard, Captain.
They probably just said that and I missed it because I was spun up.
Mr. Sulu, ease us back to minimum headway. Conserve power as much as possible. Lieutenant Palmer, tell Mr. Scott to expedite repairs on the warp drive. Poor Matt. He gave his life in an attempt to save others.
Spock's like, he's a bit of a dick.
The H-bomb was the ultimate weapon, their doomsday machine. And we used something like it to destroy another doomsday machine. Probably the first time such a weapon has ever been used for constructive purposes.
Appropriate, Captain.
Yep, fitting.
Can't help wondering if there are any more of those weapons wandering around the universe.
Well, I certainly hope not. I found one quite sufficient.
Well, you know how to get him. You know how to kill him now. Just cost you ship. Is that our leave line? Yep. Oh, good episode, everybody. Really good episode. All right, everyone. We just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 6, The Doomsday Machine. And the only thing we have left to do is talk about it. All right, everybody, just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 6, The Doomsday Machine. It was a banger. I mean, there's nothing else to say about this one. It was an absolute tension was there. We had one guest star as far as in Commodore Matt Decker. I thought the guy played him excellently. He irritated me, so he was doing something right. And again, you could see that coming. There was a definite like Ahab quality to him, understandably lost his ship. I never lost a command before, he says. He lost his entire crew and said that they were screaming for him to help them. I mean, my God, psychologically, he had to be shattered, and it really, he should have gone directly to sick bay whenever they transported over, just physically, and then at that time be able to, but again, we wouldn't have had an episode, things would have been a lot easy. Now, again, Matt was able to fly the shuttle in there and kind of show how to take the Doomsday Machine out. So it wasn't a completely like, worthless loss of life. I mean, it was still, I'm sure they would have probably been able to figure that out themselves, without, sacrifice, but regardless, it wasn't all for nothing. And I always say that I love whenever there's somebody around that outranks Jim, because we get to see Jim having to actually work within parameters that he normally wouldn't want to work in. He has a lot of flexibility with the way that he runs the Enterprise, as opposed to, I think, the appropriate way, or the way that the rule book says you're supposed to run the Enterprise. I think that Jim's rules and Jim's command style and the rule book, I'm not sure that they have a lot of overlap, but it was a great stuff. I having him be as soon as they said his name wasn't Captain Matt Decker and it was Commodore Matt Decker, I noticed something was wrong because of the insignia on his shirt. I thought, here we go. As soon as this guy gets over there, that ship's the Enterprise is gonna be his, and he's gonna try to do whatever he needs to do to make himself feel better, or psychologically try to work through this incredibly raw recent trauma that he had, which is just vengeful. I'm gonna get you because you got me type of mentality. But this episode had a lot of really good moments, a lot of really good, the moment between Decker and Spock was very profound, with Bones coming in and kind of supporting Spock, but then being kicked off the bridge, very tense. The tension in this was really well done. I think that this, if I had to give like an MVP to this one, I think I'm giving it to Scotty, because Scotty, more so than maybe any other thing that we've seen so far, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something incredible that he's done. I mean, basically bringing the Constellation back from the dead without a full, I mean, he did have a crash team over there to help, but I mean, he was able to, when he says we've got shields, are you fucking kidding me, Montgomery? You've got shields up? We don't have, what do you say? There was only like a fraction of the shields, but we got them up. Dude, that's unreal. So, I mean, I love it see, that's my favorite thing. I've said it before, whenever ship to ship fighting is fine, and, kind of like aggression and things like that, that's fine. But my real jam for Star Trek, the original series, is when you get to see these people in their disciplines, with engineering, with Scotty, really show off, really ball out, and just be basically like, this is why I'm the best. And I don't think you can say, I mean, Scott was like, he brought it back from the dead, everybody. It was a Frankensteinian move by our chief engineer. And it was absolutely unparalleled in my mind to be able to bring that dead craft and make it do everything that he had it done. And again, you might think, well, it's impossible. He never would have been able to do that. Okay, sure. In my mind, my head canon, sure, a regular engineer might have had some problems with that, or might see why it couldn't happen. Montgomery saw why it could happen. And that's the difference between our chief engineer and anybody else that might be flying around the universe. We've got Scotty, and Scotty doesn't see the impossible. He just sees something that might be difficult, And again, I just love it. I love the character. I love this, the approach. He always listens to Jim. He always takes the orders. Every crew member should, if you had a ship full of Scotties, you're going to take over the universe. I mean, he's just absolutely amazing. I was a little upset because this episode was so damn good. I was upset that we didn't get to see more interaction. Like, boy, oh boy, I don't know why Nichelle Nichols. I'm going to definitely look that up in Q&A, for why Nichelle Nichols' absence in this one, because there was a communication heavy element to all of this that I would have loved to have seen Nichelle Nichols as Uhura work through. She's great to have on the bridge because she adds so much, and you don't even really have to veer off too much from the lines that they gave. What's her name, Lieutenant Palmer? They gave Lieutenant Palmer, but again, just to see Uhura in that situation with them would have been great. Same with Chekhov. I really wish Chekhov would have been there too. We just didn't, we had an underrepresentation of some of our principals in there, and there was a lot of opportunity for some really good moments, especially with, the terminal nature of everything, the idea that they actually had decks on the Enterprise that had reported back during the crosstalk. Was it deck 6 and 7 had experienced heavy casualties. I mean, that's the first time I think I remember that coming in, where they're like, "Yeah, we have dead people. We've lost some people, and we've lost a significant number of people." I mean, that's an eerie call whenever you hear that come in. I mean, I can't imagine hearing that as the captain or whoever's in command, and hearing, we have mass casualties in deck 6 and 7. Your mind would just immediately go to, oh my God, who's on deck 6 and 7? Oh my God, I've lost people. And that's why I feel for Matt. I mean, when they first got there and he was completely shattered, and they were calling for me and screaming for my help, and he couldn't bring them up because the transporters were shut. I mean, that's awful. I mean, I can't think of anything more horrific. I immediately, what I did was I put Kirk in Matt's position, and to hear Uhura, Spock, Scotty, Bones, Sulu, Chekhov, everybody in Nurse Chapel, everybody screaming for help, and being powerless for Jim to do anything would have been devastating. I mean, I can't even imagine as an audience member watching that. It would have just been, so again, I mean, Matt has a very understandable problem, especially with his psyche in this episode, being shattered. Again, I think that he would have gone immediately for attention and not been allowed anywhere near the bridge when they realized just how bad he was. But again, we wouldn't have had the episode be the episode that we had without that kind of interference that Decker played. It was in many ways, this episode is very simple. It's a very simple episode. We have this thing. It is destroying solar systems. We can't touch it, but we've got to stop it from getting to Rigel. Okay. What do we do now? And again, that's the thing I like, how do we figure it out? Which is the best way to answer this problem that we have, and do so as effectively as we can. We're Starfleet officers. We cannot let this proceed. Obviously, the more logical situation would have been just what Spock suggested. Let's get the fuck out of here. And as soon as we get out of this subspace field, we need to contact Starfleet. This is above our pay grade. It's above the Commodore's pay grade. It's like, listen, we can't stop this thing. It's heading towards Rigel. Get the fleet together. We're going to have to, show of force this thing and get moving. But, again, completely different episode. We wouldn't have had any of the resolution, any of the kind of, quick thinking, the Scotty moments, the Jim bravery, the Spock assertion that, standing up to the face of the Commodore was badass, with everybody working as a Greek chorus around him on the bridge, like everybody looking like, what's going on? What are we doing? It was great. And I really enjoyed the fact that when Spock ordered, like, Decker be taken into custody, Montgomery just stepped right forward. No, there was no hesitation. He serves on the Enterprise. And thus, he was given an order by somebody that he knows. And Montgomery just stepped forward and was like, this way, Commodore. I mean, that's just great shit. I love little stuff like that. I didn't like that Montgomery got his ass kicked, because I said it during the reaction. There is no such thing as old man strength. It doesn't exist. Trust me, I'm an old man. If I am all of a sudden in a physical confrontation with a security officer who is definitely trained in like martial disciplines and things like that, guess who's getting their ass handed to him? This guy. So seeing Decker like able to like kind of like fight off Montgomery, that was a little bit hokey for me. But again, we wouldn't have had the episode. We wouldn't have had the sacrificial scene. We wouldn't have had, been able to really kind of figure out how to finish this thing off, which Matt gave us. Matt told us exactly how to do it. But I mean, it was a great episode. I can see why this is one of the favorites, or one of the, rarefied air upper echelon of Star Trek episodes. It's a good one. And I mean, again, it's very simple. And I love the premise being simple. I love meeting a new, anomaly, or a new race, or a new, really deep thinking problem that requires like a really big workaround. This one did. I mean, it was, they didn't have a whole lot of information, but the resolution came quickly whenever they realized that Matt did inflict like a pinprick on it. And so they were able to work at it from there. My question is this, and I actually had this question ever since we had the cage. And or actually the menagerie, whenever we found out that the planet in the cage is like the most off limits place in the galaxy according to Starfleet. So here's my question to everybody, and maybe there's even an answer in like some like, peripheral media book or something like that. What the hell did they do with the drifting doomsday machine? Obviously, it's not going anywhere. There's no gravity well that's going to pull that effing thing in. Maybe eventually, like a black hole or something. But I mean, it's going to be drifting out there in empty space with just, asteroids and stuff from the solar system. What do they do with it? Do they send out like a guard? Like, do they, just to make sure, do they send research teams into it to figure out like how this thing ticks? Is it really destroyed? Like that type of stuff really interests me. Like, is there a specific like Starfleet group? I remembered that like in comic books, there was a group called Damage Control. I think it was Damage Control, where like after superheroes like destroyed, or Damage Inc. or something like that, after superheroes like destroyed a city block or two, like these people would show up to like kind of put things right. I think that would be a fascinating like mini series for Starfleet, where you can even go back and set it in the original series, like showing up to kind of like caretake the doomsday machine. Like, what do you learn? Like, what secrets? Like, what that I think would be so fascinating to be able to see, like, what do you do with these things once they are rendered inert? What do you do, like, like with Trelane? Like, like what's the protocol in place whenever something, a planet, an area of space is kind of designated as dangerous? Like, what do you do? Oh, I'd love to see that, friends. But friends, another great episode. There's just so much we need to learn about this one. Why wasn't Nichelle Nichols there? What went on behind the make? This is Mark Daniels' like fifth offering this season. It's absolutely insane how much this guy's been fourth offering this season. It's insane how much he's been working. What went on behind the scenes? You know where I'm going with this. There's only one real way for us to find out, and that's for us to ask who. All right. Well, maybe if we're really nice, he'll say something, even though he's sort of arrogant. Maybe we can just ask him and, Q. Greetings, mon capitaines, and welcome to another installment of Q&A. Friends, this is where, after having watched and reacted to an original series episode, I like to dig a little bit deeper and find some trivia and tidbits about the episode that, if I had looked it up beforehand, would have ruined it for me. But to keep myself from talking for 3 hours or running off into the weeds, I've given myself 5 distinct categories in which to explore. The first, writer and director. Who were they? The second, guest stars. Did we have any? The third, of our core cast, or the Big 8, who was present? And the fourth, production notes, where usually the juiciest tidbits lie. And last but not least, our fifth category, the memorable quote of the episode. Let's get started. And now for our first category, friends, writer and director. Who were they? Well, our writer for this episode was Norman Spinrad, or Spinrad, or something. We're going to go with Spinrad. He was a rookie for Star Trek, and this was the very first episode that he wrote out of the gate. He revised it. He had no script problems. He got everything in on time. Nice job, Norman, especially for a rookie, and a hell of a good story. Who was our director? Well, it was another Star Trek rookie by the name of, checks notes, Mark Daniels. Of course, this wasn't Mark Daniels' first directorial debut. In fact, over the last 2 seasons so far, he's directed 9 times. And of the 6 episodes aired so far in season 2, Mark Daniels has directed 4 of them. Mark, slow down, buddy. You're making the rest of us look bad. Let's move on. And now our second category, guest stars. Did we have any? Yes, we did. We had two notable guest stars in this one. The first of which was Elizabeth Rogers, filling in the comms chair for Nichelle Nichols. She played Lieutenant Palmer. And I guess our most notable guest star in this one was the person that played Commodore Decker. And that person was William Wyndham. A little bit more on Mr. Wyndham down below, as seen through the eyes of our very own Scotty, James Doohan. Let's move on. And now for our next category, the core cast, or the Big Eight. Who was present and who wasn't? Well, first, the Big Eight is Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Uhura, Scotty, and our two new additions for this year are this season, Chekhov and Chapel. Who was there? Well, we had a few absences in this one, in that we didn't have Uhura, we didn't have Chekhov, and we didn't have Christine Chapel. We're still looking for our perfect 8 out of 8. Will we get it in season 2? Only time will tell. Let's move on. And now for our fourth category, the juiciest one always is the production notes. What went on behind the camera? Because usually that story is just as significant and entertaining as the one that went on in front of the camera. What happened in this particular episode, the Doomsday Machine? Well, the first one, and we kind of mentioned it a little bit before, in that our rookie writer, Norman Spinrad, was able to do multiple revisions of his script well before the shooting schedule started. But the interesting part is that in all of his earlier scripts, Commodore Decker survives and does not sacrifice himself. In fact, he admits to his mistakes, he kind of owns up to everything and retires. I thought it was interesting in one that it was at the very kind of the 11th hour, the final revision, where everyone sat down and thought, you know what, maybe Matt doesn't make it. Interesting decision, interesting decision. Now, speaking of Norman Spinrad, I should say this. Norman was mightily displeased whenever he saw what the actual Doomsday Machine looked like, because he had expected it to be a battleship or a platform bristling with rockets and missiles and all other kinds of like violent weaponry. But when he saw what it was, much like we had discussed, looking like a tapered turd, he was none too happy. So I thought I'd add this into this particular little tidbit as well. How did they make the Doomsday Machine? Well, the funny thing is there are two rumors or myths associated with how the Doomsday Machine was made. The first of which is that they took a windsock and dipped it in cement, creating the neutronium outside texture and kind of freezing it in place. It does sort of look like a windsock. But now the second one is the one that has a little bit more traction, as far as like there's a few other people that sort of, they think they remember this is how it was made. And that foil was used to kind of spiral and spool up that tapered look, but it was also covered with blue lighting gels to give it that reflective quality. Interesting, interesting. I guess we'll never know. Let's move on. Now, the majority of this episode had an original score associated by Sol Kaplan. There was only 36 seconds of another score used. In fact, Alexander Courage's Kirk's theme was used right when Kirk was in the constellation and saying, paraphrasing here, he was going to take the ship right down the Doomsday Machine's throat. And I felt they thought, that was an epic moment for Kirk. It required Kirk's theme and Alexander Courage's score, so 36 seconds were brought in. Awesome stuff. Another awesome thing is this episode in 1968 was nominated for a Hugo Award, keeping with that kind of, excellence that the end of last season and the beginning of season 2 have kind of really come around with. I mean, everything has been hitting on all cylinders, and I think it was very interesting and it's pleasing to me that it was recognized. And the Hugo Committee, or whoever establishes the nominations for the awards, really paid attention to Star Trek. And I think it's a testament to the times that even in the moment, it was respected enough to be given these awards and the overture for said awards. Let's move on. Now, we mentioned before, whenever we were talking about William Wyndham, that played Commodore Decker, that we would have another comment about him, but this time through the lens or the eyes of James Doohan, Scotty. First, I will say this, that James Doohan, this is predominantly in the 80s and 90s during the convention circuit, when asked what was your favorite episode of Star Trek, he consistently said the Doomsday Machine. But his reasoning is what makes James Doohan so effing cool. Let's hear the quote, and I'm going to read this quote because I think it kind of encapsulates not only his feelings for the Doomsday Machine, but just how cool James Doohan is. So let's listen to it. James Doohan said, For one thing, it had William Wyndham in it, a very good actor, and it was a very strong role, a very self-tortured character, very driven, and a strong statement about nuclear weapons, and the effects were extremely good. That was an epic story for television in that time. It wasn't a standout role for Scotty, but it was okay, and I was pleased. I saw it not long ago, and I still find it to be very exciting television. I think that's awesome. Even though he didn't think it was Scotty's best episode, for James Doohan, he saw the big picture and he felt that it was his best episode. Awesome stuff. Let's move on. So in keeping with the theme of favorite episodes, and we often like to default to the TV Guide 30th anniversary list of the greatest original series episodes ranked by a poll taken of fans, cast members, and crew. So in that kind of the original series, in the heat of the moment 30th anniversary TV Guide rankings, where does the Doomsday Machine fall? Well, friends, it falls at number 4. Very respectable Doomsday Machine. Norman Spinrad, Mark Daniels, all the cast and crew. Hell of a good job. Let's move on. And last but certainly not least, for our production notes, I thought that I hesitated for a moment. Should I put this in here? And I thought absolutely, because if you've got one end of the book, you need the other end of the book. So James Doohan said this was his favorite of all time. The TV Guide 30th anniversary list said this was number 4, the Doomsday Machine. But there was one creative, a prominent creative inside Star Trek that viewed this as their least favorite episode, and they never faltered. It was always the Doomsday Machine when asked. Who was this person that hated the Doomsday Machine so much? None other than showrunner D.C. Fontana. Never explained why she didn't like it, but she always stuck to her guns and said the Doomsday Machine didn't do it for her. Let's move on. And last but certainly not least, friends, our 5th and final category, memorable quote. There were many quotes in this that I could have used, but I decided to use the initial exchange between Kirk and Decker, because it's haunting, and I think it really kind of sets the stakes for the episode. The exchange goes as follows. It's right when they find Decker kind of, unconscious on that table. Kirk says, "Matt, where's your crew?" And Decker says, "On the 3rd planet." Kirk responds, "There is no 3rd planet." And Decker says, "Don't you think I know that? There was, but not anymore." Haunting stuff, my friends. Thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until we meet again, behave.